work, and we go back and forth. And when I talked to her about this proposal for a local ordinance, she basically told me, well, I'm never driving through Morris Township again because I love it, right? Here we are 5 weeks later. She's been in the hospital now for 5 weeks, and I only tell you that because we've had conversations back and forth so much about how she's so addicted to the Juuls, and that's all she keeps thinking about when she wants to get out is like next time she can hit her Juul, which is just, to me, it's like devastating, right? Because all you ever want to do as a parent is make sure that your kids are safe and healthy and grow up and lead great lives, right? So I just wanted to share that with you because I think that there was a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like people were confused about what the purpose was for us wanting to introduce this local ordinance, right? Whenever people hear about police officers wanting to get involved in juveniles, business, it's the first thing people think of is, well, I'm the parent, and I get that. But what you should know is I was also the school resource officer. Nate could attest to it, right, Nate? He was one of my first kids over at Freeling Heights in middle school, so I have a really real connection to the school, and I was the DB sergeant for the last year, and so I got to see everything that coming in. So for anybody who's sitting in the audience right now who is anti this local ordinance because they're worried about what's going to happen with their kids in the juvenile justice system, I just want you to take the next 10 minutes and kind of take that out of your mind and be very open to what we're saying, because the cause of this is not to try and penalize your kid. We're not going to come into a classroom like stormtroopers and lock your kid up because they have a Juul. What we want to do is we want to create a partnership with parents and with the community, and we want to be on your side, and we want to help you, and we want to give you options in order to allow your kids and you to be more educated about what can be better, which is why we've introduced a local ordinance, or we want to introduce a local ordinance that will help you guys in that. But I want to stress the fact that it's more like a partnership than it is us against you guys. So with the local ordinance, it's a lot of legal jargon, but basically what it says is that anyone under the age of 21 in the Township of Morris that is found to be in possession of one of the electronic nicotine delivery systems, thank you, could face local ordinance charges. So anybody who's over 18, the chief's going to go into that. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's already being done. Obviously, right now, the only state statute we have in regards to this stuff is regulating who's selling it and how they're selling it and who they're selling it to. I can only attest for what we do as a police department in Morris Township, and what I could tell you is that we were extremely proactive over a year ago when we saw this becoming a bigger problem in the middle school, that we started going into every single place in Morris Township that has the ability to sell these, and we asked for them to partner with us in order to not sell them to kids that are under 21. We made sure that they were in regulation with the correct signs. We let them know what the law was and what the penalty was, and we've done follow-ups with that, and they are still in partnership with us. What I can also tell you is that when we get a report of a kid who has allegedly purchased it from there or gotten it from there, we ask questions like, okay, what time were you in there? When were you in there? And we go in there, and all our businesses have video cameras, and we work with them and we check. Because what we're finding is that when kids get caught with these things, they're not telling us the truth of where they got them, because they want to keep going back to the places that will sell them illegally, right? So if it's somewhere that's actually happening in Morristown or Morris Plains or somewhere in the general vicinity, they'll tell us it happened in our town, and we can confirm that that's not what's going on, right? Kids want to be able to get these. They don't want to get the people in trouble that are doing it, and that's what it is. So I wanted everybody to know that. There are federal agencies that are supposed to regulate it and everything. However, with federal funding, sometimes they don't always have it going. I know Mrs. Whitehead talked to me about that last week. So even though we have things that say that they are regulated by the federal government and they do spot checks and stuff, depending on what's going on, sometimes that isn't funded. And I just told you what we did as an agency as far as that's concerned. And then I'm not as well versed in Title 26. I'll be very honest. That's the Clean Air Act. Right? Clean Air Act. Did I say that right? But as far as the local ordinance is concerned, right, our main concern is really educating the kids. And what I can tell you is that already we have Patrolman McIver, who is our full-time school resource officer up at Freeling Heights Middle School. And if something does happen where there's a kid that's found with a vape or a Juul, or they're in the bathroom or whatever, we are already notified. And what we do is Patrolman McIver will go into in-school suspension with them, whatever penalty they're getting from the school, whatever it is, and she'll sit down and she'll have a conversation with them, and she'll explain to them the dangers, and she shows them a PowerPoint, and she educates them. And that's really what we're looking to do as the first stop of this local ordinance with juveniles. We want to educate them and the parents. So, do you want me to get into the next? Okay. So, that's the first thing, and that's going to happen no matter what. And here's the really great news that I can tell you, is in the past 2 years that we've implemented this, we have never had a repeat offender. Never. Not once. Right? So there's people that are concerned that, oh, this happens multiple times, my kid's gonna have to go for a station house adjustment, they're gonna have to do community service, they're gonna have to do this. But I went back and I searched the last week just to confirm, and we have never had a repeat offender with just the tobacco aspect. I can't say the same for the marijuana and the THC oil, but I can say for the tobacco. If a kid is caught with THC oil, it's automatically a drug charge. It doesn't count as this local ordinance, so that's not even what we're talking about. So I just want to put people's minds at ease. With the local ordinance, once if we get it or when it goes through, the first offense would be the handled release. That'll happen if they're at Ginty Pool and all of a sudden they're caught and whatever happens, they're on their bicycle, they're smoking. I pull up as a police officer and I'm like, hey, you look like you're 12. What are you doing with this? It's called handled release. We call your parent, parent comes, we give you both educational information, we walk away, and that's it. The second time is what's called a station house adjustment. A station house adjustment is in lieu of charges. It's our opportunity to educate you even more, have a little bit of a further consequence. It isn't just a handled release. You have to come in. We inconvenience the parent and the kid a little bit by coming in and having a conversation with our juvenile detective, and then that's it. There's no police record. They're not going to go to university and they're going to be like, where are you ever arrested? And your kid has to say yes. It's not going to be like that. And then the rest of the proposed is for a third offense. There would be mandatory community service, which would be up to 25 hours. Fourth offense would be up to 50 hours. But as I've said, we haven't seen anything go past the first offense. The education aspect of this and having a little bit more of a consequence than just at the school seems to be really working. Okay.
Just to piggyback on what the lieutenant said, right now, just to talk about a little bit of our cooperation and our relationship with the school district, because anything could change at any given moment on how the school decides to handle it. But the state of New Jersey is a memorandum of agreement between education institutions and law enforcement. So possession of tobacco, or use of tobacco products is not a mandatory notification to the police department, as if it's something violent, possession of a handgun, possession of drugs, bias incidents such as that. Right now, they do voluntarily